Where are you at with the Jazz? Because I think this is an interesting little. I mean, they are finding ways to lose games.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little NBA hoop. Utah Jazz here on the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at Quack Car Wash. Where do you come down on the Jazz? Because they've lost 4 in a row. They've lost 4 of 6, 6 of 8. And it's not, they lose to Miami the other night, and I watched most of that game in just pure frustration. Mm-hmm. Tyler Hero hits the game-winning 3. They didn't lose the game because Tyler Hero hit that 3. They lost the game. Well, it certainly was. They lost that game by just playing stupid basketball.
Yeah.
Is this team improving? Where are you at with the Jazz?
I mean, it's really tough with the Jazz because they're a streaky team. Right? And again, I've told you guys all season long, let's not use wins and losses as a benchmark for improvement with this team. Yeah, obviously wins and losses is ultimately what matters, but it's not rocket science to say that this isn't some championship caliber club right now. So what I would tell you to be using as a bar of success or a bar of improvement is the box score, right? After you watch the game, go and look at the box, and that'll tell you what you need to know about this team right now, which is they're going to turn the ball over 12 to 15 times a game, and the games that they win, they're going to shoot 40% from 3, typically on 45 attempts. That's usually their nice little sweet spot. So when I look at this losing streak, I just think they're the way they're turning the ball over does make me wonder where are you guys at mentally? Because it's not like the opposition's making some all-world defensive play or they're just running into the best teams in the league and those teams are just better than them. That's not what's happening. What's happening is I saw a play the other night in the Heat game where you have Colin Sexton on the strong side wing, right, which would be the bottom of your TV screen, and he is waiting for the pick to come up. He uses the pick and then just kind of hesitates, tries to make a skip pass to the corner, and it gets picked off. It's dude, that is a never going to be completed pass in the NBA. You're not throwing the ball from the strong side elbow to the far corner when you've got 3 guys standing in front of you in the paint. You're not doing that. So it's that type of play where the people in the chat who are oh, well, you got to fire Will Hardy. I'm not at fire Will Hardy yet. I'm not even close to that. But those are the kind of plays where I'm what was Colin thinking there? And how is that ever even an opportunity in this offense? That's where I'm okay, Will needs to have another conversation because you notice what happens. They play bad for 3 to 5 games in a row. Then Will Hardy starts to keep it real with these guys, and they start to wake up, and then they'll win 4 or 5 in a row. And that's how they've sort of teetered on this 500 plus or minus 2 or 3 games the whole season. So to me, I think the Jazz are okay. It's not like they're in some horrible position, but they do make some pretty boneheaded plays.
Well, and I think the one thing that I'm really excited about is Walker Kessler. I think we continue to see Walker grow defensively. I think he's having a bigger impact in the Heat game. I thought he gave them 30 good minutes. Now he only has 5 points, but 12 boards, 6 of those offensive, 3 blocks. He's impacting the way you need your bigs to impact the game. If he's not going to be a 20-point guy, which I don't think he will be on the regular, he needs to be, a 10 and 10, a 15 and 10 guy.
Yeah.
You can absolutely see that development there. But I want to go back to expectations. What were your expectations coming into this year? Mm-hmm. Your expectations were not, hey, we're going to the playoffs, we're winning the Western Conference. They were tanking for VW and win 10 games and hope for the worst. Well, you got your hopes up because this team played so well out of the gate. This team is going to be an 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 place team in the West.
Yeah.
That's who this team is. Can they make the playoffs? Yeah, absolutely. But they're going to have to stop playing stupid basketball because Colin Sexton does things that you cannot do. Jordan Clarkson does things you cannot do, which brings us to a really difficult part of the conversation. Should the Utah Jazz extend Jordan Clarkson? And Tony Jones was among others who were breaking the story that the Jazz are involved in contract extension talks with Jordan Clarkson. Mm-hmm. To which I say, how much are you going to pay him? Because I also think I could make a significant argument that Jordan Clarkson is not a starter in the NBA. And Jordan Clarkson is a sixth man, and that is his role, and that should be his role. Because this is not a guy, in my opinion, that should be playing 35 minutes a night and be your starting two guard. That's not who Jordan Clarkson is. And again, this doesn't mean I hate Jordan Clarkson, and I know what happens when you say anything mildly critical of Jordan Clarkson.
Well, you said that Jordan Clarkson sucks and he's terrible.
Why does this show hate Jordan Clarkson?
Why do you guys hate Jordan Clarkson?
What did he ever do to you, bro?
With all due respect.
It's not that I hate Jordan Clarkson. The issue is he takes touches away from Lauri Markkanen in big situations. The issue is that he gets into the lane and wants to kick the ball out in the middle of a shot that he knew he shouldn't have took, and it winds up into the seats. You can't do that. And for a team like the Jazz to make the playoffs, I think is significant. You need to make the playoffs. Lauri Markkanen has to be the focal point of the offense. And right now, I don't think he is. That's the biggest issue. The other thing that I would point out for everybody who's like, oh, tanking for VW, brah. Their draft picks are not looking so good. Because the best one you're going to have is probably the Minnesota Timberwolves pick, right? Your own. Right now, I think their own pick is like 13th or something like that. I think the Timberwolves pick is by far the best because that pick where they're like the worst, you get the worst. Right now, the worst pick is the Brooklyn Nets pick that you own. They're not in a position to get Victor Wembanyama. Right. They're not tanking for anybody. So my point is, if you can make the playoffs, make the playoffs. But you got to trade Malik Beasley.
So right now, you have, as according to this, and I'll verify this, but you have 3 picks in 2023. You've got yours, right? And that's a first-round pick.
Yep.
You've then got another first-round pick from Houston, Brooklyn, or Philly. And then you've got a third one, and that's the Minnesota one you were referencing.
Yes.
So you have a bunch of, like, a laundry list, obviously, as you guys know, of first-round picks coming. But I don't think that you should be sitting here being like, oh, well, man, they've got great draft capital. You don't have great draft capital. You have a plethora of draft capital, some of which is good, some of which is crap, and some of which falls sort of in between. So you have to understand that. So don't watch this team and say, well, next year will be a lot better because they have great draft capital. It depends how Danny goes about this. And I know, talked about this 100 times, but I'm going to keep dying on this hill, right? I don't believe that Danny Ainge is sitting up there in his office talking to Jay-Z and company picks the way they're currently constituted. I think what they're going to do is they're going to package 2 or 3 of these picks this year, and they are going to climb the draft, and they're going to go and try and get a guy. They're going to go and try and get somebody inside the top 10 that they believe they can put into the starting lineup who could be an impact player now, i.e. last year's Paolo Banchero, right? Like, i.e. some of these other guys who have been drafted now right into the starting lineup guy. That's what I think Danny wants to do.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see, and this is, again, just my opinion, who stays and who goes. And I think when you look at where guys like, Colin Sexton is interesting. I would not rush him back even a little bit. Right? Like, I just wouldn't. I think it's very interesting to see where, if Colin's not 100%, I'm not interested in him playing heavy minutes. In fact, I wouldn't play him at all. The other night, you look at the guys that got the bulk. He got 24 minutes the other night against the Heat. And he was 4 of 11 from the floor. But again, I look at the fact that he's not turning the ball over in volume, but is he making good decisions? I look at Clarkson and Conley both with 4 turnovers. Kelly Olynyk has been not good lately.
Yeah.
With 5 turnovers. Your center turned the ball over 5 times.
How?
So you just got to make better decisions on the ball. The bottom line here is I would extend Jordan Clarkson, but not at starters money. You just can't do that. I think that's one of those bad decisions, and I think that's what they're talking to him about.
Yeah.
I think the Utah Jazz right now are happy to have Jordan Clarkson as a starter because it doesn't mean a whole lot. You're a 19-20 team. You're a game under 500 now.
Yeah.
it doesn't mean a whole lot if he starts or if he comes off the bench. When you were contending for what you thought were championships, Jordan was a sixth man of the year for a reason. But that's not who this team is anymore. And I don't think you can be married to guys. I certainly know factually that Jordan Clarkson has interest from the NBA. There are teams around the league that would like to acquire Jordan. If I'm the Jazz, I would trade him. I don't believe they have an appetite to do that. I don't think they're out shopping him. This extension talk, though, I'm told is because they're trying to figure out if they can keep him long term or if he's a guy that wants to test free agency. And if I'm Colin Sexton, I'm hoping that eventually I get to start. But for that to happen, Jordan Clarkson can't be there.
Yeah.
So it's you gave Sexton an extension. That does not mean you're married to him. You're not married to any of these guys, frankly.
Yeah.
That's why the trade we reported, by the way,
put it up on the screen, dude.
I don't know how else I can say
for
that.
all the people who are like, oh, you don't have sources, you don't know what you're talking about.
You made it up, bro.
Come on,
we've
dude.
been telling you, and I don't have that graphic,
okay.
But we've been telling you that they had a trade in place with Atlanta. And how about this Trae Young situation in Atlanta? Man, how that has gone south. That you are looking at another coach not wanting to coach Trae Young. It's ugly there. But having said that they had a three-way trade in place with the Jazz, the Suns, and the Hawks, where basically John Collins would wind up with the Jazz with a filler player, and the Jazz would get 2 first-round picks in that deal, and the Suns would end up with Jared Vanderbilt and either Mike Conley or Malik Beasley, and the Jazz said no because they couldn't get first-round picks. We told you that on this show.
Yeah.
Shams confirmed that last week, almost chapter and verse. Like, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
We know a thing or two. Would you trade him? Should you extend Jordan Clarkson?
This is a guy that you can't be, loyal to, with all due respect to Jordan. Like I didn't like that Ryan Smith came out all those days ago, many moons ago, and tweeted, "We're not trading Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles isn't going anywhere."
No.
Did not like that. And it has nothing to do with Joe, just like this has nothing to do with Jordan. It's not about the player per se. What it's about is business and money and your future. Every minute that Jordan Clarkson takes away from Colin Sexton is yet another minute that Colin Sexton is not developing. And what I'm here to tell you is, while you're not married to Colin Sexton for like the next decade, obviously, he is the guy right now. He is your future right now unless you decide to go another direction. Why would you not get him all the minutes you could possibly get him? And why would you not put yourself in a position to play as many of the developmental guys as you possibly can? Take advantage of being mediocre. Like, I don't think people understand how important this time is. Everyone wants to just fast forward to being Western Conference champions. Well, you're never going to get there if you keep paying guys like Jordan Clarkson to come in and turn it over 4.5 times a night. You're not going to get there, because I have news for you. Jordan Clarkson as a starter is getting overexposed. I love dude's game. Love the drip, love the swag, love the personality. Frankly, I love the fact that he's represented the Utah Jazz for how many ever seasons it's been now. I think I don't know, it was 6 years now or whatever it's been. Like, he's been here a long time now. And now with this rebrand and rebuild and everything, he's the guy that the fans gravitate to. But I just don't think that you can be loyal to these guys. Like, maybe negotiate, play hardball with them, get him to sign an extension, and then maybe trade him. I certainly would not let this dude go into free agency, because he will get signed and you will have lost him for nothing.
Yeah, and he has a player option for next year at $14 million. Like, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to pay him. I think the max you're paying him is $20 million a year. And the question is, are you willing to pay him $20 million a year to be a sixth man? I'm probably not. I mean, I think he has more value as a fan favorite than he has as a $20 million sixth man.
Yeah.
What would you pay him? I mean,
20 would be the most. I mean, I think as a sixth man, I'd like to be in that 13 to 15 range. I mean, you look at what Lou Williams got paid all those years. Like, that's kind of what he was making.
The problem is he's making $14 million on a player option. He's not. I mean, my guess is if Jordan Clarkson opted out, he would be in demand around the NBA and he would get $20 million bucks.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying I think that you would wind up hanging on to him for $20 million. If you could get him on a 3-year, $60 million deal, why wouldn't you do that? I think you would do that.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the cap-friendly situation that you're in now, I mean, the Conley deal is not ideal. I mean, it's $22 million, but, you look at Mike's situation, you have a non-guaranteed deal for next season with Mike. You're not married to anything there. So I look at that, and the biggest one is Lauri Markkanen's only making 16.5.
Yeah, that's the bargain you're getting right now.
You have him for 2 more years at about $36 million total. I don't know why you wouldn't.
So do you see what I mean when I say you have flexibility and you don't need to be married to these guys? You can operate from a sense of like, we'll be fine with or without you. And that's really crucial.
Yeah, totally. Luis Capazzo says Ryan Smith needs to leave his emotions out of contracts. Yes, totally. Send Jordan somewhere in a trade. Give him a chance to get a ring. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Now, I'm cool with, hey, do right by somebody. I'm cool with that. That's fine.
Well, and I think the biggest suitor for Jordan Clarkson is the Miami Heat, I've been told. But the problem is the Jazz want nothing to do with Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're getting Tyler Hero in that deal. I mean, would you do a Tyler Hero, Jordan Clarkson deal? Probably not what they're paying Hero.
The same guy, man.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of value in that. And I think when you look around the Eastern Conference, I mean, there's not a team in the Eastern Conference at the top of the table that doesn't want Jordan Clarkson. And I think that's the issue. But the problem is if you're going to move Jordan Clarkson, he's a guy that has an opt-out for next year. Your value is low on Jordan right now. Right. Your value was higher in the summer when you could have had him for an entire year, and then you can negotiate an extension. But now you're going to trade for a guy who's probably going to opt out and test free agency.
Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he? So, because I think if he does opt out, by the way, he gets $20 million.
Jordan, I also think, without saying it, this is just an assumption. Haven't been told this, just an assumption. But I would guess that Jordan Clarkson is acutely aware of his age and where he's at in his career. And I would guess that he reminisces about the Laker days and getting back into a OG like Celtics, Lakers, Bulls, Knicks, like major market team where he can kind of go and chase a ring or, do something, sort of enter that final chapter for himself, if you will.
I think when you're on the wrong side of 30, and he is, I think the Lakers make a lot of sense, or at least they did. I don't know that the Lakers make a lot of sense for Jordan Clarkson now, because you're looking at a situation with the Lakers where, listen, you have a guy in Jordan that I think when you look at how good he is for the community, I don't know that there's a lot of value in that in LA. But certainly here in Utah there is. The bigger issue is, are you willing to give up a first-round pick to get Jordan Clarkson? And I don't think the Lakers are willing to give up a first-round pick for anybody.
Yeah.
I think they want to hang on to their first-round picks. And I think, though, that Jordan Clarkson, we were at the Laker game a couple of weeks ago. If Jordan Clarkson's on that team, they win that game. Point blank. If it's Jordan Clarkson instead of Dennis Schroeder, they win that game.
Right.
The Lakers are in a position where they're going to miss the playoffs again. And I understand why they would want to add a Jordan Clarkson and a Malik Beasley. But are they willing to give up a first-round pick? Why would you give up a first-round pick for those guys?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. If you're Jordan Clarkson, that's why you would want to enter free agency. Because again, I think people don't realize, like, players aren't stupid. Players know, like, hey, the Lakers have a couple of first-rounders here. And I know that like in the organization, we didn't do the bogey deal because they didn't want to give up picks. So if I want to go to the Lakers, I probably shouldn't expect them to be giving up picks for me, being that what is he, 32 or whatever he is now? And
Jordan?
No,
Jordan's 30. And I think once the start of next year, he'll be 31. He's going into his 31-year-old season.
So he's still like 31 because of what guys like Bron have done in the league. 31 no longer has the you're old label on it, but it does have the "you're getting old" label on it.
By the way, have you come around at all to my take that the Lakers are wasting LeBron?
Oh, they're definitely wasting LeBron. 100%. I think LeBron is doing a bit of flexing right now, if I'm being honest. I think he understands that he needs to stay relevant. I think he understands that the Lakers are no longer an organization that you can go to and it's just assume that you'll be in the playoffs. And I also think that LeBron is somebody who deserves to go to the finals, ideally 3 or 4 more times. That's what I think he deserves based on what he's done.
The same record as the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And the problem is, so you
Are
walk,
you serious?
Dude, you walk into crypto, and you're like, wow, this place is a palace. You quickly understand just how big of a deal it is to play there, and it's really sad. Like we saw LaMelo, which by the way, I really like LaMelo's game. He's still a little immature though, if I'm being honest, but like his game a lot in person. But what bothers me is that it's like, dude, just the same way the ball doesn't find Laurie 3-4 possessions in a row, there are times where Bron, specifically when Westbrook's on the floor, where Bron won't see the ball for 2 to 3 possessions at a time. And what do you know? They go empty 2 to 3 possessions at a time and typically turn it over. So that's why I say, if I'm LeBron James, I'm staying in LA. I'm just married to it because it's LA. It's a great lifestyle. Your kids are doing great. Bronny and Bryce are clearly both going to go to the league. Like, you're in a great spot. But it is frustrating as hell not to be making the playoffs. And I don't know what you do about that if you're LeBron. Like, I don't know how, like, this isn't David Griffin anymore, man. This is Rob Pelinka. This is Genie. Like, this is the Lakers. Like, you don't have that same hammer that you used to have. So, I don't know. I think it's really, LeBron is in a difficult spot. There's no question about it. And I don't know what he does about that. I don't know how you change that.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think it's very difficult to fix the Lakers right now. Jeannie Buss, I think, is in a very difficult situation. She needs, in my opinion, a better basketball guy than Rob Pelinka can give her right now. Because you've got to make some really tough decisions. You got to trade Anthony Davis, period. There's nothing else to talk about.
I don't understand this whole concept of just chill in this roster. Like, it feels like you've just been sitting here for, like, it hasn't been 5 years, but it feels like it's been 5 years.
But the issue isn't even, with all due respect, the issue isn't that they've been stuck for 5 years. The issue is you won a championship and you got happy. The secondary issue is you have misvalued the impact of first round picks. I'm looking at Bojan Bogdanovic in Detroit, and I still maintain that Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith put a thumb in the Lakers' eyes by giving him away for free.
Bojan.
For free, they gave away Bagsnatchevich to Detroit.
Bojan Bogdanovic.
You gave him away for Saban Lee and Kelly's O'Clinic. Like, you just gave him away.
You gift wrapped it by saying that Olynyk and Danny were great friends, and Olynyk's going to have some huge
Kelly's
impact.
had a good impact on this roster. But let's stop sugarcoating this. You made that trade to screw the LA Lakers. By the way, Holly Rowe is doing the Rose Bowl for ESPN and ABC.
Great. She's great on football. Don't have a problem with it.
Anyway, the point is, the Lakers should have given a first-round pick to get Bojan Bogdanovic and Malik Beasley from the Jazz.
Yeah.
And they didn't. It was a huge mistake. And frankly, what you should have done is given a first-round pick and a player. You should have given up Austin Matthews to get Bojan Bogdanovic and
Reeves.
Austin Reeves, thank you. I said Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Hockey reference. You should have given a first-round pick, in my opinion, to get Austin Reeves and whoever you want to throw in there.
Yeah.
To get Pat Bev and Bojan Bogdanovic. Austin Reeves is a hell of a young player. The Jazz, I think, would have done that deal by what my sources have told me, but the Lakers didn't want to give up a first-round pick. And that's mind-blowing to me that they didn't want to do that. If you had Bojan Bogdanovic and Pat Beverly on that team, and you, again, are not so reliant on – they lost to Charlotte because, A, Bron can't tie his shoes, and B, Dennis Schroeder bricks threes. Dennis Schroeder is a nothing burger. Nothing. That's where they are in LA. They're relying on Dennis Schroeder to hit a three-pointer to win a game. It makes no sense.
Wide open three-pointer.
In the corner, just unmolested. Like uncontested, unguarded in the corner. Right. Unbelievable. All right, let's see. Luis Capazzo says, I was right. I was right. Always an excuse.
Talking about duck season.
Oh, God. Hi, duck season. Austin Napierski says, I miss Bojan so much. Yeah. I think we as a fan base did not appreciate Bojan Bogdanovic. We didn't appreciate how do I say this? The worst mistake that Jazz fans made over the last 3 years was overvaluing this team.
Bojan.
Because you just put too much pressure. The expectations were far too high. And again, if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you know we have said for years this was not a championship contender. Mm-hmm. Not the way it was built. And I think Bojan Bogdanovic was a wonderful player when he was here.
Yeah.
He really was very good for the Jazz, but he was maxed out, unfortunately. Provo Cougar fan says LeBron James to the Celtics. I don't think that he will leave LA. And if he leaves LA, I don't see him going east because his kids are both really high-level prospects. Bronny had an unbelievable weekend. His kids are both high-level prospects. And his younger son, Bryce, is probably a better prospect than Bronny is. Like, it's amazing. And they both play in Los Angeles. So I have a hard time seeing LeBron leaving LA. And if he did, my guess is he's not going anywhere that's even questionable. He'd wind up in Golden State. I think if he left LA, I have to believe if he was going east, I can't see him going to Boston. Because I just, how do you do that to Cleveland? I think he's made or broken his legacy in LA.
Yeah.
And that's a team, he went there because they perennially compete for a championship. Only they don't. So I don't know. We'll see. Lewis says, Russell Westbrook, what a great addition to the Lakers. Rob keeps us all scratching our heads. Yeah.
Yep.
He really does. And Westbrook's actually not that bad as a sixth man. He really isn't. So, yeah, I don't know. Duck season, good morning. Well, not good morning, but average to see you, sir. Can't wait for Utah to embarrass the Pac-12 again.
We're only here for one reason.
Well, you need to you owe us $100.
Hey, still haven't paid up. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing.
You know, he never will pay. Never will pay. He says Oregon carries the Pac-12. Well, I mean, don't you have to win a Pac-12 championship recently?
Well, they carry the Pac-12 from the comfort of their own couch because they're not playing football anymore.
But they have won back-to-back Pac-12 championships and gone to the Rose Bowl both years. Oh, wait. No, that's not true. Actually, that's a lie. That's
Don't
Utah.
play intramurals, brother.
It's Utah. It's Utah. Talking with Raphael podcast on PBS. Says, does the Jazz have a championship caliber player currently? They don't.
No.
I don't think Raphael, and I think we've talked about this, I don't think they have the best player on their team right now when they... Let's see. Hello. Tanny Luke. TT, what's up? Penn State over the Utah Utes. Don't think so.
No.
No. I think it's 35. I'll go 35-28. Utah wins.
35-24.
I think that James Franklin gets out-coached badly here. I think to me, that's what happens is he gets out-coached badly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But again, depth has got to play well. Money Parks has to play well for them to win. What are you looking at? Why are you gawking over here, man?
Duck season is such a clown, bro. I'm sorry.
San Diego State, I
dude.
paid, but the cameras were off. Ask Jake, I gave him the money.
Right.
Your tab for 2023 is $98.02. That's exactly right.
He ain't wrong.
That's exactly right. All right. Can we talk a little non-sports? Because it's already 9:10.
Yeah. 9:10 already. 9:10.